Hawaii, lived a boy named Aka which means big laugh. He was always full of fun and looking for something new and exciting to do. It was near Christmas, and Aka thought it would be a wonderful idea to invite Santa to come to Hawaii. Santa could bring plenty of presents, which would make all the children happy, and he could have a vacation at the same time, and that would make him happy. Then everybody would be happy. Aka wrote Santa a letter that night, and then he called on his friends, the trade winds, and asked them to make just a teeny-weeny detour in their regular run and carry his message to the North Pole. Akanui's letter, he just chuckled and laughed and chuckled and laughed until he had to hold his sides. The reason Santa laughed so hard was because he could just hear Akanui talking out loud as he wrote, saying,
"Hey, Santa, how you like come to Hawaii for Christmas vacation? Same time you bring plenty presents for all the keikis. You know what is keikis? Children. Okay, here's what we like for Christmas. Plenty cracked seed and candy, surfboards and ukuleles. I think that is all for this time, except no forget our cracked seed. Okay. Wait, I forget to tell you. No more chimneys on the beach at Waikiki. How you gonna land? Maybe better you try sliding on a moonbeam or try riding on a surfboard. Okay. Aloha."
And it was signed Akanui. Right then, Santa knew he had to learn to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in Hawaiian. He also had to find out just what crackseed was and where he could get it. Santa paced the floor of his toy shop, scratched his head, sighed, mumbled to himself, and then suddenly he snapped his fingers and cried out,
"I've got it. My friends the Menehunis, those little Hawaiian pixies. They'll know what to do."
So Santa called them on the phone, and no sooner than you can say Samshurik Yerum, which is Merry Christmas backwards, everything was fixed, and Santa was ready to take off for Hawaii. His first stop would be Kauai, the island where his Menehune friends live. He took Akanui's advice and slid straight into Kauai on a moonbeam.
Santa's riding on a moonbeam to Hawaii, and he's gliding on a surfboard to an island where the little Menehunis will greet him with lace and smiles, and hope to make the children's sweetest dreams come true, and hope to make the children's sweetest dreams come true.
When Santa had landed, he was greeted in true Hawaiian fashion with lovely flower lays, kisses, and songs.
Hawaii greets you with her songs and flowers, in her sweetest melodies, say aloha to you. Soft hands in hulas tell you of the sunset
last the alohas were over, and it was time for Santa to leave for the beach at Waikiki, where all the little children were waiting. The Menahunis had thought of everything. A bright, new, shiny surfboard was ready for Santa, and 8 outrigger canoes just full of surfboards and ukuleles. Each reindeer would pull a canoe. Santa would ride the surfboard with plenty of Menahunis to keep him right end up. And for his back was a big, big pack, just full of crack seed made into leis. Santa stood shakily on his shiny new surfboard. At last all was ready, and away they went. As he glided along, he still wondered what crack seed tasted like.
Yummy, yummy crack seed, oh so very good. Come from Hong Kong, China, yes, I'm very good. Yummy, yummy crack seed, tasty little fruit. Every little boy and girl like a crack seed. Oh no, crack seed, make this like a list. Buy 'em in a paper sack, plenty good for you.
Santa smacked his lips and wanted to taste just one crack seed, but right now he didn't dare reach for one for fear of falling off the surfboard and spilling all the children's yummy, yummy crack seed into the ocean. As he glided over the tropic waves with the balmy breezes blowing in his face, he felt so good he just had to shout for joy. So with his hands cupped to his mouth, he shouted his usual,
Merry Christmas!
Suddenly he realized he was in Hawaii, and he clapped his hands over his mouth and looked sheepishly around to see if anyone had heard him. The Menahunis were all busy and seemed not to have heard anything. Right then, before he could make another mistake, he asked the Menahunis to teach him how to say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in Hawaiian. The Menahunis grouped around Santa's feet on his surfboard, and with heads together and instruments that appeared out of nowhere, they sang this rollicking holiday tune.
Mele Kaliki Maka, Merry Christmas to you. Haoli Maka Hiki Ho, Happy New Year too. Mele Kaliki Maka, Merry Christmas to you. Haoli Maka Hiki Ho, Happy New Year too. Happy New Year too.
The tune was so catchy that it wasn't long until Santa had mastered Merry Christmas and Happy New Year in Hawaiian. This made him so happy that he just had to try his Hawaiian out on anyone who would listen. So with a mighty shout that nearly upset him, he called out,
Mele Kaliki Maka!
As if in answer to his cheery call, a whole school of fish jumped right up out of the ocean. And when they saw Santa, so jolly, with flower leis and a whole pack of crack seed on his back, they just had to come along. Once more Santa felt the urge to shout for joy, so he yelled even louder than before, and this time it was,
Haoli Makahiki Ho!
Up popped the head of a whale with a very surprised expression. And when he saw Santa in his bright red suit, he thought he was on fire. So he spouted a whole stream of water all over poor Santa. This was all such fun, and the water so soft and warm that Santa didn't mind a bit until he saw his trousers slowly creeping up his legs. Oh, well, he had no time to worry now. They were just crossing the reef and would soon be on the famous beach at Waikiki. This was the great moment. Santa felt the excitement all around him. The school of fish dived off his surfboard into the ocean, only to reappear with little seaweed hula skirts, while a whale with a surprised expression popped up again, and this time with a flower lei and a steel guitar. Everything was ready for Santa's landing. It would be bigger, singier, and more exciting than the docking of any luxury liner. There was a second of calm, that everything seemed to stand still. Then, with a sudden swelling of a steel guitar, the haunting beat of the ipu, followed by sweet tropical music and beckoning of soft hula hands, Santa was welcomed into Waikiki.
Ano, Waikiki, all decked out like a Christmas tree, twinkling stars up above light the way for Santa Claus. Ano, Waikiki, oh what fun there will be, hula dolls and steel
and they had landed on the white sands ready to go to work. The Menehunis boosted Santa up into a big coconut palm tree where he strung the crack seed leis, while under the tree the Menehunis stacked surfboards, ukuleles, bags and bags of candy, and all the other presents Santa had brought. It was about then that Santa stopped to taste his first crack seed.
Yum, is that ever good?
Santa smacked his lips and was about to try another when he noticed that the sun was slowly rising.
Goodness me, now I've done it. I haven't time to get down before the children start opening their presents. I'll have to stay up here until it gets dark.
It was getting hotter every minute, so the Menehunis brought Santa a coconut hat to keep his head cool and a tea-leaf skirt to keep his knees from sunburning now that his trousers had shrunk. They also brought him a coconut with a hole in it so he could have a drink of real coconut water to quench his thirst. So Santa sat back, relaxed, looked down at his tea-leaf hula skirt, felt his coconut hat, smelled his flower leis, took a deep, cool drink of his coconut water, and said to himself proudly,
Santa's gone Hawaiian.
Santa's gone Hawaiian. He likes the wacky, wacky sway. Santa's gone Hawaiian with his coconut hat and play. His old boo shakes like a barrel of boy in the land of many goodies and aloha hoy. Santa's gone Hawaiian in a big Hawaiian way.
The children on the beach below were shouting with delight at their presents. They sang, danced, surfed, and ate candy and crack seed until they were sticky, dirty, tired, and oh, so happy. It was about then that Santa bumped into a coconut hanging close by and sent it crashing to the ground. Bang! The children looked up, and when they saw Santa in a coconut hat, hula skirt, and flower leis, they clapped their hands and cried, Santa's gone Hawaiian. Aka Nui looked up and shouted,
Hey, Santa, how you get so momona? I mean, so fat. Got lots of poi up in the North Pole?
And Santa in his big booming voice called back,
Mele Kalikamaka!
and the children all laughed and answered,
Howdy,
Then Aka Nui remembered his manners and introduced his friends to Santa like this.
Hey, Santa, meet some of my friends, Kiyoki and Kimo, my twin brothers, Tita, my Calabash cousin, and this is Manabu, my Japanese friend, and Kamchu, my Pake friend. This is Francisco, my Filipino friend, and this is Beulah Smith. She gets Scotch, Irish, English, Hawaiian, and Chinese blood. You know, Santa, down here we all mix up.
The next thing the children knew, somehow, some way, Santa had left his perch in the coconut tree and was riding high in the sky in his sleigh and blowing kisses as he continued to shout,
Mele Kalikimaka!
So joy and laughter filled the air that day that Santa went Hawaiian.
Santa's gone Hawaiian. He likes the wicky, wacky sway. Santa's gone Hawaiian with his coconut hat and lei. His old boo shakes like a barrel of boy in the land of many moonies and aloha hoy. Santa's gone Hawaiian in a big Hawaiian way.
And in the distance you could still hear Santa calling,
Mele Kalikimaka!
Mele Kalikimaka, Merry Christmas to you. Haole Maka Likimo, Happy New Year too. Haina ia mai, Kapuana ia. Santa's gone Hawaiian, a Merry Christmas to you. Haina ia.
and that's the story of how Santa went Hawaiian that wonderful Christmas day in old Hawaii.
Hey,